Hey everyone, welcome back. Just before we start, it's a fun idea if you type in where you're listening from. Thanks, like and subscribe, and let's get this started. The first crack appeared when she started coming home late. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just the stress of her new job, but the excuses became more frequent, the distance between us more palpable. I should have seen it coming. We used to be in sync, two halves of the same whole, but lately it felt like we were on different planets. I'm a man who likes control. My work demands it. As a financial consultant, every detail matters. Every decision has consequences. But at home, everything was slipping. She was slipping. Her once warm smile had turned cold. Her laughter that used to fill the house had been replaced by silence. I found myself questioning everything. Her late nights, the sudden phone calls she'd take in another room, the way she'd pull away when I tried to touch her. We had it all, or so it seemed. A beautiful home, successful careers, friends who envied our life. But behind closed doors, the reality was different. I still loved her deeply, but that love was starting to rot, turning into something dark and corrosive. Every time I looked at her, I wondered if she was thinking about someone else. One night, after yet another argument about her nights out, she stood at the door, her hand on the knob, ready to leave. "Don't go to that club again," I said, my voice betraying the calm I was trying to maintain. She turned, her eyes hard. "You're not the owner of me," she snapped before slamming the door behind her. I was left standing in the middle of our living room, the silence after her departure heavier than the argument itself. I didn't follow her. Instead, I poured myself a drink, the burn of the whiskey doing little to soothe the gnawing in my gut. I sat on the couch staring at the clock, each tick echoing like a countdown. Where was she? Who was she with? My mind was a prison, each thought a sharpened blade cutting deeper into my sanity. Eventually, exhaustion overtook me, and I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up to a strange sensation, something wet and slimy in my hand. Disoriented, I sat up, the room spinning as I tried to make sense of what I was holding. My heart dropped when I saw it, a used condom. I blinked, hoping it was a nightmare, but it wasn't. It was real, too real. My eyes darted around the room, and that's when I saw the note on the nightstand. My hand shook as I reached for it, the words blurring as I read, "You forgot to return this to your lover." The blood drained from my face. She wasn't in the bed. The sheets were cold. I was alone with the remnants of her betrayal clutched in my hand. In that moment, everything changed. My world, my marriage, my life, shattered in an instant. The anger, the disbelief, the gut-wrenching realization that she had done this left me hollow, yet filled with a burning need for revenge. My mind races, replaying the scene from this morning over and over. The condom, the note, the empty bed, all of it feels like a bad dream. But it's too real. I don't even know how long I sit there, staring at that damn piece of latex in my hand. Rage bubbles inside me, threatening to explode, but I keep it in check. I need to stay calm, to think this through. She walks in later like nothing's happened. She doesn't even glance at me as she breezes past, heading straight for the shower. I follow her into the bedroom where I confront her, the note clenched in my fist. "What the hell is this?" She glances at the note, then at me, with a smirk that sends a chill down my spine. "Oh, that? A joke? Lighten up, would you?" I can't believe what I'm hearing. "A joke? You think this is funny?" She shrugs, unbothered, turning to strip off her clothes, revealing the body that I once knew so intimately. The sight of her undressing so casually, as if this is all normal, stirs something dark inside me. "You're paranoid, you know that? Always overthinking things." I want to scream, to shake her until she admits the truth, but I don't. Instead, I watch her, trying to read the truth in her eyes and the way she moves. "What were you doing last night?" My voice is too calm, too measured. It's the calm before the storm. "Out with friends, like I told you." She steps into the shower, her back to me, dismissing me with her silence. I can hear the water running, but all I can see is red. There's no point pushing her now. She won't give me what I want. But I'll find it. I have to. Over the next few days, I can't shake the feeling that everything I thought I knew about my life, my marriage, is a lie. The doubt gnaws at me, a constant ache that I can't ignore. I start noticing things I hadn't before. The way she guards her phone, the quick glances she shoots my way when she thinks I'm not looking, the sudden, inexplicable mood swings. I need proof, something concrete to confront her with, so I start digging. I go through her phone when she's in the shower, but it's clean, too clean. I check her emails, her social media, but there's nothing out of the ordinary. She's covering her tracks well. That's when I decide to follow her. It feels wrong creeping around like some kind of spy in my own marriage, but I need to know. I have to know. I trail her one night when she says she's going out with friends. I watch as she laughs with them, her smile carefree, her eyes bright, but something's off. She's too happy, too relaxed, like she's relieved to be away from me. I wait outside the restaurant, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. Hours pass before she finally emerges alone. I follow her, keeping a safe distance, as she drives to a part of town we never visit. My heart pounds as she pulls into the parking lot of a small, nondescript building. I watch as she gets out of the car and heads inside. What is she doing here? I wait for what feels like an eternity before she finally comes out, a man trailing behind her. He's tall, well-dressed, with an air of confidence that makes my blood boil. They exchange a few words, laughing softly, before she gets back into her car and drives away. The man watches her leave before heading in the opposite direction. I follow him. I keep my distance, not wanting to spook him, but close enough to see where he's going. He eventually pulls into a driveway of a nice suburban home. I park down the street and watch as he goes inside, greeted by a woman. His wife, I assume. Perfect. I need more. I hire a private investigator, someone who can dig into her life without raising suspicion. It costs me more than I'd like, but I need answers. I give him everything I have, her schedule, the places she goes, the man's description. Then I wait every day feeling like a lifetime. Days turn into a week before the PI finally calls. His voice is serious, lacking the detached professionalism from our earlier conversations. She's been seeing someone, he says, confirming what I already knew, but then he pauses as if deciding whether to tell me the rest. There's something else. What? She's pregnant. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Pregnant. The room spins, my world collapsing in on itself. How long? About 8 weeks, according to the doctor she's been seeing. 8 weeks. I do the math in my head. It could be mine, but it could just as easily be his. The timing is too close to call, but the fact that she's been hiding this from me speaks volumes. She doesn't want me to know, because she's not sure either. I end the call without another word. The rage that I've been holding back finally breaks free, a wave of anger so intense I can hardly breathe. She's carrying another man's child, and she thinks she can pass it off as mine. I confront her that night. She's in the kitchen, cooking dinner like everything is normal, like she hasn't turned my life into a living nightmare. We need to talk, I say, my voice cold, controlled. She turns, surprised by my tone. What about? About the baby. The words hang in the air between us, heavy with accusation. She goes pale, the color draining from her face as she realizes that I know. How did you? It doesn't matter how I know. What matters is whose baby it is. She opens her mouth to speak, but no sound comes out. For the first time, I see fear in her eyes. She's trapped, and she knows it. It's yours, she says finally, but her voice is weak, unconvincing. Don't lie to me. My patience is gone, replaced by the cold, hard determination to get the truth. I know about the other man. She flinches at that, her eyes darting to the door like she's thinking of running. But there's nowhere to go. Not anymore. It was a mistake, she says, her voice shaking. I was lonely and I made a mistake. A mistake? Is that what you call it? A mistake that you're trying to pass off as mine? I can't help the bitterness that creeps into my voice. The betrayal cuts too deep. She starts to cry, the tears falling fast and hard. I'm sorry, she sobs. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't want to hurt you. But she did, and now there's no going back. We're getting a paternity test, I say, my voice leaving no room for argument. If that baby isn't mine, you're going to regret ever thinking you could lie to me. She nods, defeated, her shoulders slumping as the weight of what she's done finally settles on her. The truth is out, but it doesn't bring the relief I thought it would. Instead, I feel empty, hollowed out by the realization that the woman I loved is a stranger to me now. The next morning, I make the appointment for the test. She doesn't argue, doesn't try to explain herself anymore. We're beyond that now. She knows what's at stake, and so do I. The days until the test feel like years. Every time I look at her, I'm filled with a mixture of rage and sorrow, the two emotions battling for control. She walks around the house like a ghost, silent and withdrawn, as if she's already mourning the loss of our marriage. When the day finally comes, we drive to the clinic in silence. The tension between us is so thick, it's suffocating. She's trembling when we arrive, but I feel nothing. I've already made up my mind about what I'm going to do no matter what the results say. The test is quick, clinical. They take a blood sample from her, a swab from me, and tell us we'll have the results in a few days. The wait is excruciating. Each day that passes, I feel the rage building again, threatening to consume me. And then the call comes. The results are in. The call comes, and I'm ready. The past few days have been a special kind of hell. Every second stretched thin with the anticipation of what I already know deep down. When the phone rings, it feels like the world stops. Everything's zeroing in on this moment. I answer on the first ring, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. The results are in, the voice on the other end says. It's clinical, detached, but I can hear the weight behind the words. And, I ask, bracing myself, though I already know what's coming. The child isn't yours. There it is. The truth that I've been dreading but expecting all along. The world doesn't shatter like I thought it would. Instead, it feels like a slow, inevitable collapse, pieces of my life falling away one by one, until there's nothing left but cold, hard rage. Thank you, I say, my voice eerily calm. I hang up and sit there for a moment, letting the reality sink in. She lied. She tried to pass off another man's child as mine. The betrayal runs deeper than I thought possible, cutting through everything that was left of my love for her. Now all I feel is a burning need for revenge. I don't confront her immediately. That would be too easy, too quick. No, she needs to feel what I'm feeling. She needs to understand the depths of her betrayal. So I go about my day as if nothing has changed, but every word, every glance is laced with a coldness that I can't hide. She notices, of course, but she's too afraid to ask. That night, I lie next to her, staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning with plans. She sleeps soundly, oblivious to the storm brewing beside her. I watch her, feeling nothing but contempt. How could she? How could she do this to me, to us? The next morning, I leave early, telling her I have a meeting. Instead, I head straight to the lawyer's office. It's time to set things in motion. I lay everything out, the infidelity, the laces, the DNA test. The lawyer listens, his expression neutral but professional. He's done this before, I can tell. He knows exactly what to do. We'll file for divorce on grounds of adultery, and he says, his voice calm and methodical. Given the circumstances, you have a strong case for full custody of any assets, especially with the DNA test proving the child isn't yours. Good, I say, my voice hard. I want her to lose everything. He nods, making notes. We'll start with serving her the papers. I'll make sure it's done discreetly, but we'll need to move quickly. If she contests, it could get messy. Let her contest, I reply, my mind already spinning with possibilities. She's going to regret ever thinking she could pull this off. I leave the office feeling a strange sense of calm. Everything is falling into place. I spend the rest of the day making arrangements, setting up everything I need to ensure she won't see it coming. When I get home, she's waiting for me, her eyes red and puffy. Where were you? She asks, her voice trembling. Work, I say casually, brushing past her. She reaches for my arm, desperation in her touch. "We need to talk," she says, her voice breaking. "I know things have been tense, but we can fix this. I know we can." I look at her, the woman I once loved more than anything, and all I feel is disgust. "There's nothing left to fix," I say coldly, pulling my arm away. "We're done." She blinks, confusion and fear clouding her eyes. "What do you mean? We can't just be done. We're married. We have a life together." "We had a life," I correct, my voice dripping with venom. "You threw it away the moment you decided to lie to me." She crumples, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she sobs, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was scared and I didn't know what to do." "Sorry doesn't change anything," I snap, the rage finally bubbling to the surface. "You tried to pass off another man's child as mine. Do you even understand what you've done?" She falls to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please," she begs. "Please don't do this. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me." It's pathetic watching her grovel like this. The woman who was once so strong, so confident, reduced to this. But it's not enough. Not nearly enough. "I want a divorce," I say, my voice cold and final. "You'll be served the papers tomorrow. Don't bother contesting it. You'll only make things worse for yourself." Her eyes widen, and for a moment she looks like she's going to argue, but then she just nods, defeated. "Okay," she whispers. "Okay, if that's what you want." "It's not just what I want," I would say, stepping closer, towering over her. "It's what's going to happen. And if you try to fight it, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you did." She flinches at that, the threat hanging heavy in the air. She knows I'm serious, knows that I have the power to destroy her, and that's exactly what I intend to do. The next few days pass in a blur. She moves out, taking only the bare essentials, her once proud demeanor shattered. I watch her go without a word, my heart hardened against her tears. It's over. She's gone, but the revenge is only just beginning. I bide my time gathering information, preparing for the next phase. I want her to suffer, to feel the same betrayal and despair that she inflicted on me. I start setting traps, subtle at first, small, seemingly innocuous things that begin to unravel her life bit by bit. Anonymous emails to her workplace, rumors started in just the right places. I know how to play this game, and I'm damn good at it. She doesn't know what's happening at first, but I can see the stress wearing her down. She's paranoid, jumpy, looking over her shoulder as if she knows someone's out to get her but can't prove it. It's satisfying, watching her unravel, knowing that I'm the one pulling the strings. But it's not enough. I need her lover to suffer too. He's just as guilty, and I won't let him get away with it. I start digging into his life, using the same methods I used on her. It doesn't take long to find the cracks. He's married with a family. Of course he is. It's perfect. I gather everything I can on him, every dirty little secret, and compile it into a dossier that could ruin him. Then I make sure it finds its way into the hands of his wife. It doesn't take long for the fallout to begin. His marriage implodes, his wife leaves him, and he loses everything. It's almost too easy. I watch from the sidelines, satisfied with the destruction I've caused. They deserve it, every bit of it. But as I watch their lives fall apart, something starts to gnaw at me. It's not satisfaction, not anymore. It's something darker, emptier. I thought revenge would make me feel better, give me closure. But all it's done is leave me hollow. I try to push the feeling away, to focus on the fact that I've won. She's out of my life, her lover's life is in ruins, and I'm free. But the anger, the bitterness, it's still there, festering inside me, refusing to go away. I finalize the divorce, leaving her with nothing. She signs the papers without a fight, her spirit completely broken. I should feel victorious, but all I feel is the weight of what I've done, the cold realization that revenge hasn't healed anything. It's only deepened the wounds. As she walks out of the lawyer's office for the last time, I watch her go, feeling nothing but a hollow ache in my chest. The anger still lingers, a constant reminder of what I've lost and what I've become. I thought revenge would set me free, but now I'm not so sure. I set the plan in motion, each step carefully calculated. There's no rush. I want her to feel the walls closing in slowly, to sense the inevitable collapse but be powerless to stop it. It starts small, almost imperceptible, with little things that only someone who knows her as well as I do could orchestrate. I pick up the phone, my voice calm and measured as I make the first call. Yes, this is Daniel Carter. I'm calling to inquire about a recent transaction. Yes, the one regarding a substantial withdrawal from our joint account. I know exactly what I'm doing. She doesn't handle our finances. She's always left that to me. But a call from the bank about a large withdrawal is enough to start the first crack in her fragile world. The next step is even more subtle. I make a few changes to the thermostat settings in the house. Nothing drastic, just enough to make it uncomfortable. She'll adjust it, but it will keep resetting, just slightly off from where she left it. It's a minor annoyance, but it's the start of the psychological strain. It's all part of the plan to make her question her own sanity, to make her doubt everything, especially herself. I make sure her emails are tampered with too. Not enough to be obvious, just a few deleted messages. A couple of sent emails moved to the drafts folder. She's meticulous about her work correspondence, and this will drive her insane. She'll start wondering if she's losing her grip, if she's the one making mistakes. And that's exactly what I want. At night, I play the role of the cold, distant husband, barely acknowledging her presence. I see the confusion in her eyes, the fear that's starting to creep in. She tries to talk to me, but I give her nothing, just empty monosyllabic responses. I can feel the tension building, but I hold back. The confrontation is coming, but it's not time yet. I continue to gather information on her lover, feeding it to his wife bit by bit. Anonymous emails, screenshots of text messages, all carefully curated to paint the picture I want her to see. It's working. His wife confronts him, their marriage starts to crack, and the fallout is everything I'd hoped for. He's on the verge of losing everything, and I'm just getting started. Back home, I escalate my efforts. I change the locks one day while she's out, just for a few hours. When she comes back and can't get in, she panics, calling me repeatedly. I don't answer. I watch from the security camera as she stands there, trying to make sense of what's happening. Eventually, I let her in, pretending it was a simple mistake, a mix-up with the locksmith. But the seed of doubt is planted. Her sleep starts to suffer. I hear her tossing and turning at night, the bed creaking under her restless movements. I lay beside her, feigning sleep, while she lies there, lost in her thoughts. I can feel her unraveling bit by bit. The tension between us reaches its peak one evening. She's sitting on the edge of the bed, her head in her hands, and I can see the defeat in her posture. "Daniel," she says quietly, her voice thick with emotion. "What's happening to us?" I keep my voice cold, detached. "What do you mean?" She looks up at me, tears glistening in her eyes. "You're different, distant. I feel like I'm losing you. You lost me the moment you lied to me," I say, my voice hard as steel. "It's time." Her eyes widen in shock, and I watch as the realization dawns on her. "You know," she whispers, her voice trembling. "I know everything," I say, standing up, towering over her. "I know about him. I know the baby isn't mine. I know about the lies, the betrayal." She breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably, her body shaking with the force of it. "I'm sorry," she cries, her words barely coherent. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was scared, and I made a terrible mistake." "A mistake?" I repeat, the word laced with venom. "You tried to pass off another man's child as mine. You thought you could just lie to me, and I'd never find out?" She shakes her head, her tears falling faster. "I didn't know what else to do. I was terrified, Daniel. I didn't want to lose you. You lost me the moment you decided to betray me," I say coldly. "There's no coming back from this." She reaches for me, desperation in her eyes, but I step back, out of her reach. "Don't," I warn, my voice icy. "Don't touch me. You disgust me." Her hands drop to her sides, and she looks at me, broken, defeated. "What are you going to do?" she asks, her voice barely a whisper. I'm giving you a choice, I say, my tone cold and calculated. You can sign the divorce papers and walk away quietly with whatever dignity you have left. Or I can drag this out, make it as painful as possible. And believe me, I will make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. She stares at me, the full weight of my words sinking in. She knows I'm serious, that I won't hesitate to destroy her if she pushes me. I'll sign them, she says finally, her voice hollow. Good, I say, turning away from her. I'll have the paper sent over tomorrow. You have until the end of the week to move out. She doesn't argue. She knows it's over, that there's no point in fighting. She's lost everything, her marriage, her reputation, her future. But as I walk away, something inside me shifts. The victory doesn't feel as sweet as I thought it would. Instead of satisfaction, there's just a hollow emptiness, a void that revenge can't fill. I've won, but at what cost? I've destroyed the woman I once loved, the life we once had, and now there's nothing left. The next few days pass in a blur. She moves out, just as I ordered, taking only the essentials. I watch her go, feeling nothing but a cold detachment. It's done. She's gone. But the sense of closure I was expecting never comes. I turn my attention to her lover. He's already on the brink of losing everything, but I want to make sure he falls. I dig deeper into his life, finding every flaw, every secret, and use it against him. I leak the information strategically, ensuring that it reaches the right people at the right time. His life crumbles before my eyes. His wife leaves him. His job is at risk, and his reputation is in tatters. But as I watch him fall, the satisfaction I expected doesn't come. Instead, there's a growing sense of emptiness, a void that revenge can't seem to fill. I've destroyed him, just as I planned, but it doesn't make me feel any better. If anything, it makes me feel worse. The final confrontation with her comes unexpectedly. She shows up at the house looking pale and drawn, a shadow of the woman she once was. Daniel, she says, her voice trembling. Please, can we talk? There's nothing left to talk about, I say coldly, not even inviting her in. She flinches at my tone but presses on. I know what you've been doing, to him, to me. I know you're behind it all. I don't deny it. And? Why? She asks, her voice breaking. Why are you doing this? Wipe on, I repeat, incredulous. You really have to ask why. You destroyed our marriage. You betrayed me. You thought I'd just let you get away with it? I know I hurt you, she says, tears streaming down her face. But this is too much, Daniel. You've destroyed his life. You're ruining mine. What do you get out of this? I stare at her, feeling the rage bubbling up again. You don't get to play the victim, I snap. You made your bed. Now you have to lie in it. But it's not just about me anymore, she says, her voice desperate. What about you? What is this doing to you? I don't answer. I can't. Because deep down, I know she's right. The revenge that was supposed to make me feel better, to give me closure, is tearing me apart. I've become consumed by it, and now I'm left with nothing but the emptiness it's created. Daniel, please, she begs. Stop this. Let it go. I can't, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. I've come too far. She looks at me, her eyes filled with a sadness that cuts deeper than any words. You're destroying yourself, she says quietly. And I hate that I'm the reason why. Her words linger long after she's gone. I've won, but at what cost? I've destroyed her, her lover, and now I'm left with nothing but the ruins of what once was. The revenge that I thought would set me free has instead trapped me in a prison of my own making. As I stand in the empty house, the silence is deafening. I wanted her to suffer, and she has. But now as the dust settles, I realize that I'm the one left standing in the wreckage alone, with nothing but the weight of what I've done. And for the first time, I'm not sure if it was worth it. I set my sights on her lover next, determined to make him pay. It's not enough that he loses his marriage. I want him to feel the full force of the pain he's caused me. I want to destroy him piece by piece, just as he's done to my life. I begin by leaking the information I've gathered to his wife. She deserves to know the truth, and I'm more than happy to be the one to deliver it. The first email is anonymous, of course. A few suggestive photos that I found on his phone, images he thought he'd deleted. They're graphic, intimate, proof of his betrayal. I send them to her with a simple message. Your husband isn't who you think he is. I imagine her shock, her horror, as she opens the email, as she sees her husband with my wife. It's the first crack in their perfect life. But I don't stop there. I make sure she gets more, bit by bit, until she's drowning in the evidence of his infidelity. I send screenshots of their texts, details about their meetings, even a video I managed to pull from an old security camera near the motel they frequented. By the time I'm done, there's no way she can stay with him. I've poisoned their marriage beyond repair. I sit back and watch as his life unravels. He tries to deny it at first, to talk his way out of it, but the evidence is overwhelming. His wife leaves him, takes the kids, files for divorce. It's a public spectacle, and I relish every moment. He's lost everything: his family, his reputation, his career. He's a broken man, just like I planned. But as I watch him fall, something inside me starts to shift. The satisfaction I expected isn't there. Instead, I feel a growing emptiness, a hollow void that my revenge can't seem to fill. I've destroyed him, just as I intended, but it doesn't make me feel better. If anything, it makes me feel worse. I try to shake off the feeling, to focus on the fact that I've won. But the victory feels hollow, tainted by the realization that I've become someone I don't recognize. I've spent so much time plotting, so much energy on this revenge, that I've lost sight of everything else. I'm consumed by it, and now that it's done, I'm left with nothing. The divorce finalizes quickly after that. She doesn't contest it, doesn't even try to fight. She's defeated, broken in a way that I never expected. I watch her sign the papers, her hands shaking, her eyes hollow. There's no satisfaction in it, no sense of triumph. Just a lingering emptiness that I can't seem to shake. She leaves with nothing, just like I planned. I keep the house, the cars, everything. She walks away with a few clothes and her car, nothing more. It's what she deserves, I tell myself. But as I watch her drive away, I can't help but feel a pang of something. Regret, maybe, or sadness. I don't know anymore. I try to move on, to start a new life, but the anger lingers. It's like a shadow, always there, no matter how much I try to ignore it. I throw myself into work, into anything that can distract me, but nothing works. The anger is still there, gnawing at me, refusing to let go. One night, I find myself sitting in the dark, a glass of whiskey in my hand, staring at the divorce papers. I've read them 100 times, but I still can't believe it's real. This is what I wanted, what I fought for. But now that I have it, I don't know what to do with it. The house is quiet, too quiet. I used to crave the silence, the peace of being alone, but now it feels suffocating. I can't escape the memories, the constant reminders of what I've done. The bed feels too big, too empty, without her in it. The anger flares up again, and I throw the glass across the room, watching it shatter against the wall. The sound is satisfying, but it does nothing to ease the pain inside me. I start to wonder if I made a mistake, if maybe I should have tried to forgive her, to work through it instead of tearing everything apart. But the thought only makes me angrier. She betrayed me, lied to me, tried to pass off another man's child as mine. How could I forgive that? How could I ever trust her again? But the questions keep coming, relentless, no matter how much I try to push them away. What if I had done things differently? What if I had confronted her earlier, before it all spiraled out of control? What if I had just walked away instead of letting the anger consume me? The thoughts won't leave me alone, haunting me day and night. I start to see her everywhere, in the grocery store, on the street, even in my dreams. But she's not the woman she used to be. In my dreams, she's always crying, always begging me to forgive her, to take her back. And I always wake up feeling more lost, more empty than before. I try to date again, to fill the void she left behind, but it's no use. Every woman I meet pales in comparison, and I find myself pushing them away before they get too close. I can't let anyone in, Can't let anyone see the mess I've become. I'm too broken, too damaged to be with anyone. One night I run into her at a bar. She looks different, older, sadder, as if the weight of everything has finally caught up with her. She sees me and freezes, her eyes wide with surprise. We stare at each other for a long moment, and then she turns to leave. Wait, I say, my voice rough. She stops, her back to me, but doesn't turn around. I take a step closer, feeling a strange mix of emotions: anger, regret, longing. Can we talk? She hesitates, and then she nods slowly, and we sit down at a table in the corner. The silence between us is heavy, filled with everything we never said. Finally, she speaks, her voice quiet, tentative. I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't expect to see you either, I say, trying to keep my voice even. I study her face, looking for something, an apology maybe, or some sign that she's changed. But all I see is sadness, and it makes my chest tighten. I've been thinking about everything, I admit, my voice low, about what happened, what I did. She looks at me, her eyes wary, as if she's not sure what to expect. And I don't know if it was worth it, I say, the words tumbling out before I can stop them. All of it, the revenge, the anger, it didn't make anything better. It didn't change what happened. It just made everything worse. She's silent, her eyes searching mine. I never wanted to hurt you, she says finally, her voice thick with emotion. I know I did, but I never meant to. I know, I say, surprising myself. I know you didn't, but that doesn't change what happened. No, she agrees, her voice barely above a whisper. It doesn't. We sit in silence for a while, the weight of our past hanging between us. Finally, I look at her, really look at her, and I realize that I don't hate her anymore. The anger is still there, but it's different now, muted, dull. I'm tired of being angry, tired of carrying this weight around with me. It's time to let it go. I don't know if I can ever forgive you, I say, my voice quiet, but I think I need to try. She nods, her eyes filling with tears. I don't expect you to. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I know, I say again, and this time I mean it. We leave the bar separately, but something feels different now. The weight on my chest is lighter. The anger that's been gnawing at me for so long starting to fade. I don't know if I can ever truly forgive her or if I can ever fully heal from what happened, but for the first time, I feel like I'm on the path to something better. It's a start. She finds me when I least expect it, just as I'm starting to feel the weight of my choices. It's been weeks since we last spoke, since that night at the bar when we both realized how far we'd fallen. I've been trying to move on, to find some semblance of peace, but the anger still lingers, a constant companion that I can't seem to shake. I'm sitting at home, staring at the divorce papers that finalized our split, wondering if I'll ever feel free of this burden, when the doorbell rings. I open it, and there she is, standing on my doorstep, looking like a ghost from my past. Her face is pale, her eyes hollow, but there's a fire in them that I haven't seen in a long time. We need to talk, she says, her voice trembling, but determined. I don't want to let her in, don't want to hear whatever she has to say, but something in her tone makes me step aside. She walks past me into the living room where we spent so many nights together, now a graveyard of memories. I close the door and follow her, keeping my distance. What do you want? She turns to face me, and I can see the struggle in her eyes, the battle she's been fighting with herself. I know what you did, she says, her voice steady despite the fear I know she's feeling. I know you're the one who destroyed his life. My heart skips a beat, but I keep my expression neutral. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Daniel, she snaps, her voice rising with the anger that's been simmering beneath the surface. I know it was you. You're the only one who could have known all those things, who could have done what you did. You ruined him, just like you ruined us. I don't deny it this time. There's no point. She's right. I'm the one who orchestrated his downfall, who made sure he lost everything, just as I did. I wanted him to suffer, and he has. But hearing her say it out loud, seeing the pain in her eyes, makes it all feel different, heavier. You're right, I say, my voice flat. I did it. I wanted him to pay for what he did to us, for what you both did to me. Her face crumples, the anger giving way to something else, something that looks a lot like heartbreak. But at what cost, she whispers, her voice barely audible. You destroyed him, yes. But you destroyed yourself in the process, and you destroyed me. I guess I flinch at her words, the truth of them cutting deeper than I expected. She's right. I've lost just as much as I've taken. I thought revenge would give me closure, would make everything right again. But all it's done is leave me hollow, a shell of the man I used to be. She takes a step closer, and I can see the tears in her eyes, the pain she's been carrying. I'm not here to beg for forgiveness, Daniel. I know I don't deserve it, but I needed you to know what this has done to me, to us. We're both broken, and I don't know if we'll ever be whole again. Her words hang in the air, heavy with the weight of our shared history. I want to lash out, to defend myself, but I can't. She's right. This has destroyed us both, and there's no going back. I don't know how to forgive you, I admit, my voice raw with the emotion I've been trying to suppress. Every time I think about what you did, what you tried to do, the anger just comes back. I can't seem to let it go. She nods, understanding in her eyes. I know, and I don't expect you to. But maybe it's time to stop holding on to that anger, to let it go before it destroys you completely. I stare at her, the woman I once loved more than anything, the woman who betrayed me in the worst way possible. I want to hate her, to keep the anger alive because it's easier than facing the pain underneath. But as I look at her, I realize that the anger isn't serving me anymore. It's just keeping me trapped in a past that I can't change. How, I ask, the question slipping out before I can stop it. How do I let it go? She shakes her head, a sad smile tugging at her lips. I don't know, but I think we both need to try. We stand there in silence, the distance between us feeling both vast and small at the same time. I don't know if I can forgive her, don't know if I can ever truly move on from what happened. But I do know that I'm tired of being angry, tired of letting the past control me. I'll try, I say finally, the words feeling like both a promise and a burden. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. She nods, and I can see the relief in her eyes, the hope that maybe, just maybe, we can find some semblance of peace. That's all I can ask, she says softly. Thank you. She turns to leave, and I watch her go, feeling a strange mix of emotions, relief, sadness, uncertainty. I don't know what the future holds. Don't know if I'll ever truly forgive her or myself. But for the first time, I feel like maybe, just maybe, I can start to heal. As the door closes behind her, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders, a small, tentative step towards something better. It's not a clean break, not a perfect resolution, but it's a start. Over the next few weeks, I start to take small steps toward rebuilding my life. I throw myself into work, but this time it's different. I'm not using it as a way to escape. I'm using it as a way to move forward. I start going to the gym again, taking care of myself in ways I haven't in a long time. I even start seeing a therapist, someone who helps me sort through the mess of emotions that I've been carrying for so long. It's not easy. There are days when the anger still flares up, when the memories of what happened feel like they're suffocating me. But I'm learning to manage it, to let the anger come and go without letting it consume me. It's a process, and I know it will take time, but I'm committed to it. One day I get a call from her. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up the phone. Her voice is tentative, unsure, but there is a warmth there that wasn't there before. I just wanted to see how you're doing, she says, and I can hear the genuine concern in her voice. I know we're not. I know things are different now, but I still care about you. I'm doing okay, I say, and for the first time, I actually mean it. I'm working on it, trying to let go of the anger, trying to move on. I'm glad, she says softly. I've been doing the same. It's hard, but I think it's the right thing to do. We talk for a while about nothing in particular, just small, easy conversation that feels surprisingly comforting. It's not like it used to be, but it's something new, something that feels like the start of a different kind of relationship, one built on honesty, on understanding, on mutual respect. When we hang up, I feel lighter, like I've taken another step towards something better. It's not about getting back together or even about forgiveness. It's about finding a way to coexist, to move on from the pain we caused each other. As the weeks turn into months, I start to notice changes in myself. I'm more patient, more forgiving, not just with her, but with myself. I start to let go of the need for revenge, the need to hold on to the anger. And in doing so, I find a kind of peace that I haven't felt in a long time. One day I wake up and realize that I haven't thought about her in days, that the anger that used to be my constant companion has faded into the background. It's still there, a part of me that I'll probably carry forever, but it doesn't control me anymore. I start to look forward to the future, to what life has to offer now that I'm no longer shackled to the past. I start dating again, and this time it's different. I'm open, honest, and not afraid to let someone in. It's scary, but it's also exhilarating, like I'm finally living again after so long in the darkness. And then one day out of the blue, I get a letter from her. It's short, simple, just a few lines thanking me for everything, for trying, for letting go. She tells me she's moving away, starting fresh, and that she wishes me all the best. As I read the letter, I feel a sense of closure, a final piece of the puzzle falling into place. I fold it carefully, place it in a drawer, and smile. It's over, finally over, and I'm free. But as I move forward, I know that the future is still uncertain. There will be challenges, setbacks, but I'm ready to face them, ready to embrace whatever comes next. Because for the first time in a long time, I'm not angry. I'm just me, and that's enough. I sit alone in the quiet of my home, staring at the glass of whiskey in my hand. The house is still, the only sound the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. It's been months since the divorce was finalized, since I tore apart the lives of the two people who betrayed me. And yet, here I am feeling no closer to peace than I did before. The silence is suffocating, pressing in on me from all sides. I used to crave this, used to think that once I was free of her, free of the lies, I'd finally be able to breathe again. But instead, the air feels heavy, thick with the remnants of what I've done. I take a sip of the whiskey, savoring the burn as it slides down my throat. It's a temporary distraction, a way to dull the edges of the anger that still simmers beneath the surface. But it's not enough. It's never enough. I think about the last time I saw her, the way she looked at me with those haunted eyes. She was right at Fillon. I've destroyed her, and in doing so, I've destroyed myself. The revenge that once fueled me now feels like a chain around my neck, pulling me down into a darkness I can't escape. I used to be so sure of what I wanted, so convinced that revenge was the only answer. But now, as I sit here alone, I'm not sure of anything anymore. The satisfaction I thought I'd feel is nowhere to be found. Instead, there's just this gnawing emptiness, a void that nothing seems to fill. I reach for my phone, scrolling through the contacts until I find her name. I hesitate, my finger hovering over the call button. I don't know why I want to talk to her, why I think hearing her voice will make any of this better. But something compels me to do it. Some small, desperate part of me that's still searching for answers. I press the button, listening to the ring on the other end. My heart pounds in my chest, a mixture of anticipation and dread. When she answers, her voice is soft, hesitant. Hello? It's me, I say, my voice rough with emotion. I, I don't know why I called. There's a pause, a silence that feels like it stretches on forever. Then she speaks, her voice careful, measured. What do you want, Daniel? What do I want? It's a question I've been asking myself for months, and I still don't have an answer. I don't know, I admit, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. I guess I needed to hear your voice. Another pause, and I can hear the hesitation in her breathing. Why? I don't know why. Maybe because despite everything, despite the lies and the betrayal, there's a part of me that still cares. a part of me that's desperate to find some kind of closure, some way to move on from this mess we've made of our lives. I don't know, I say again, feeling the frustration build in my chest. I just, I can't stop thinking about everything, about what we did, what we became. Me too, she says quietly. I think about it every day. We lapse into silence again, the weight of our shared past hanging heavy between us. I want to ask her if she's moved on, if she's found a way to live with what happened, but I'm too afraid of the answer. I'm too afraid that she's doing better than I am, that she's found a way to heal while I'm still stuck in the same place. I don't know how to let it go, I finally say, my voice barely above a whisper. The anger, the guilt. It's like I'm trapped in it. I know, she says, and I can hear the sadness in her voice. I feel the same way. But maybe it's time we try. Try what? Forgiving each other, she says, the words soft, tentative, and forgiving ourselves. Forgiveness, it's a concept that feels foreign to me, something I haven't even considered. But as I sit here, listening to the vulnerability in her voice, I realize that maybe she's right. Maybe that's the only way out of this darkness. I don't know if I can, I say, my voice trembling with the weight of the admission. I don't know if I'm strong enough. Neither do I, she admits. But I think we owe it to ourselves to treat bending. Her words sink in, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a glimmer of something other than anger. It's small, barely there, but it's enough to give me hope. Maybe this is the start of something new, something better. Okay, I say, my voice firming with resolve. Let's try. She doesn't say anything, but I can hear her soft exhale, a sound of relief, of hope. We don't need to say more. The conversation has already gone deeper than I expected. When we hang up, I sit in the silence, feeling something shift inside me. It's not a sudden change, not a miraculous transformation, but it's a start. I know I'm not healed, not by a long shot, but I feel like I'm finally moving in the right direction. I think about what the future holds, about the uncertainty that still looms over me. I know it won't be easy, that there will be days when the anger and the pain threaten to pull me back into the darkness. But for the first time, when I feel like I have a chance to choose something different, to choose forgiveness over vengeance, healing over hate. As I get up and pour the whiskey down the sink, I feel a sense of release, a letting go of something that's been holding me down for far too long. I'm not sure what comes next, not sure if I'll ever fully forgive her or myself, but I'm willing to try. And that feels like enough for now. I walk to the window, looking out at the world beyond my walls. It's still dark, but I can see the first hints of dawn on the horizon, a new day waiting to begin. I take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill my lungs, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a flicker of hope. I don't know what the future holds, don't know if I'll ever truly be free of the scars this ordeal has left on me. But as I stand here watching the sun rise, I know one thing for certain. I'm ready to move forward, ready to start living again. The darkness isn't gone, but it's fading, and that's enough. For now, that's enough.